Assalamu alaikum. I'm your host, Tana Zuberi, and you're watching another episode of Justice for All Now on Muslim Network TV, America's only Muslim-focused TV channel. You can watch us on satellite, Galaxy 19, Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Today, as we discuss many struggles for justice around the world, we will be focusing on justice right here in our DC metro area. We'll be talking about Muslim prisoners' rights in PG County and other jails around Maryland. Today, we'll be talking to two special guests who are here with us to share their stories about striving for justice for Muslim prisoners incarcerated for many long time, and those who have accepted Islam in prison, and what are they asking of the greater society. Our first guest today is Buhaira Abdul Sabur. He's a native of Washington, D.C., and has been involved in Islamic work for the past since he was a young man. From a young age, he has been giving dawah and been a really, a part of the justice movement struggles in DC. He's the co-founder of two amazing organizations, Bridges DC and Bury Me Muslim, both that I've had the pleasure of supporting and being a part of. Some of their activities. They do pop-up salahs around DC and help Muslims who don't have Muslim families get a decent Muslim burial. For the past 15 years, he's also been volunteering as a chaplain in correctional facilities, giving spiritual guidance and khutbahs for Jummah inside prisons. Thank you so much, Brother Buhaira, for joining us.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for having me.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Next, we have with us Brother Kenneth Snowden, who is also a native Washingtonian and has been working on the topic of prisoners' rights ever since his own release from prison in 2019. He's been serving the community through many and advocating for those and trying to bring around meaningful change. And we'll talk to him more about what he means by meaningful change. Thank you, Brother Kenneth, for joining us. And I'd love to start off with you so you can share more about your own story and how you got involved in this work. Take us back to 2019 when you were released from prison.
Thank you for having me. When I was finally released in 2019, I came through on a release from the program of Reentry Court. Reentry Court eventually sent me to the Jude House, and from the Jude House, I was released, completing that program, and coming back to finish out the program with the Reentry Court in 2020 and 21. And going through the series of programs, a series of steps that you have to go through to be not only be accepted, but also to be successfully graduate from the program and from the court. And from there, I really started taking notice about the difference in the mentality of the younger guys who are coming through this system. And the one thing I find with them is that they feel hopeless, that there is nothing there for them. They're returning back to the same neighborhoods that they came from, same broken homes that they came from. And the courts and the program is limited of what they can and cannot do. Even the health department was limited. But it just sparked within me to reach back, to give them somewhat directions from my past and from my behaviors of the past.
Now, so this is very important because you've been through the system. You know exactly what occurs inside. What were some of the injustices you witnessed against your own self and against other prisoners?
The one, especially in Prince George's County Detention Center, that was, just so appalling was you could not practice your religion. Mm-hmm. You had absolutely no rights whatsoever to practice. Just the simple thing of praying, or mm-hmm. if brothers want to sit at the table and read the Quran or speak of Islam, you were broken up. Mm-hmm. And it was just mind-boggling. This was like Jim Crow 21st century version. I was elected to become the unit spokesman. I spoke at length with the administration about this, hoping that can persuade them through negotiations. We also the Muslims were the trustees of the unit, and not once had we ever had any problems, disciplinary problems. Even when they had younger guys who were cutting up, we could actually ask the goon squad to wait a minute and allow us to speak with them, and they would. So it showed that the leadership of peace and running the units and keeping peace in the units was prevalent with us, but they just would not budge and would force us to file the lawsuit that made its way through the system, through the court system, up into 2021, I believe it was, 22, when they finally settled. I think what slowed it up more was the pandemic. The county finally settled the case. We're not admitting any wrong, but they did settle. But it wasn't until the administration of Ms. Alsabrook that actually took the mantle up. And again, I'll say for the chief of police here in Prince George's County, who is a very active Muslim, who supported the lawsuit that Juma prayer should be established in the jail. And I think that was the turning point for Ms. Alsabrook to decide in our favor that, yes, this should happen. And as we understand that this month, and Brother Bakari could speak on that matter, that Juma prayer should be established in the jail.
Brother Bahira, could you expand on that? Can you tell us about this recent victory and what it took to achieve this victory?
Yes. So as far as for the Juma prayer, as our brother, as he mentioned, they had a lawsuit already filed. On the other side of that, with some other Muslims along with myself, working to through Jamil Johnson, PG, CMC, and his contacts with Calvin Hawkins. So we had set a meeting up with Calvin Hawkins and the then assistant director or acting director, LeBay. She's now the director. And the previous chaplain, they had removed the previous chaplain. They had brought on some new chaplain called Prisoners for America. We went through that process with them. We tried to get some Muslims to file for to become a chaplain. They had some issues with that. They filed another lawsuit. That institution, or if you will, that organization was removed, and now they had to say a chaplain now. So it's been a long, like you said, process over the years. We were supposed to have our first collective Jumu'ah last Friday, actually. To be very honest with you, it was canceled. Right? It was canceled. I received a message on that day, an hour before. Actually, I was on my way up there because I didn't even see the email. The chaplain called me and said, "Did you get my email? Did you get my text message?" I said, "What's going on?" And he said that it had been canceled for last week. I asked the reason why. I don't get a reason why. I don't get a any type of explanation, So again, it was supposed to start last week. Inshallah, I'm hoping tomorrow that I'm able to access the facility, and inshallah we can have our first collective Jumu'ah. That's what I'm praying for, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. And now, aside from Jummah prayers, what other rites do I've heard when we were out together at that protest in front of the PG County prison, that our brothers and sisters who are in prison do not get halal meals, and women often do not have access to hijab. And I've seen this in DC jail, where the situation is very different, and they do have a woman chaplain for many years, Sister Amina, and she was able to get hijabs for the sisters in prison. So what is this discrepancy between PG County and the DC jail system, and what other rights should we be concerned about?
That's to me.
Yes.
If I was to, I worked at DC jail as well. Again, when I came to PG County, I found them to be very much far outdated with their processes. Some of they were only winning like maybe one or two Muslim females out here at the PG County facility. But even those females, one of them said that they removed their hijab because the type of hijab she had, I guess it wasn't sanctioned by the prison. But what I'm told now is that they can have hijabs. So initially, it kind of goes back to what Shamsuddin was saying, our brother Kenneth Snowden. He was saying that it was just an all right go against whatever the Muslims practice, believe, and we're going to deny them whatever those things are, because they don't have a voice, And I think that with like the brother said, with his efforts and the efforts that we've been trying to make, we're now giving them, inshallah, hopefully a voice. That was one of the issues that they had, though, the hijab. I think they, the halal meals now, but initially, what Muslims, they were telling me, they were signing up. When they come in, they would sign up as Jews, because if they signed up as a Jew, they could get the kosher meal.
Oh wow! Okay.
Right, and then during Ramadan, they had to take their name off the Jewish list and be say that they're Muslim, and it was just a whole situation, man. That's not. I mean, it wasn't good, But from my understanding now, they do have halal meals year round at PG County facility, and this happened after the Ramadan last year, 1443. 2022.
Thank you so much for that, and we'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. So we've been talking about prisoners' rights in PG County, in Maryland, and around the country. But specifically, I wanted to welcome back our guest, Brother Kenneth, who has been incarcerated himself and shares his story of success in re-entry back into society. So, Brother Kenneth, I wanted to ask you, what is your analysis of why is Christmas and Cinco de Mayo and other celebrations allowed in these prisons, but somehow our faith was, the Muslim faith is seen as a threat?
That was a twofold decision made in institution. One was the chaplain at the time was a Spanish gentleman who he promoted not only the Spanish holiday, but also Christmas. And they got to all congregate in the gym. And one of the arguments that dispelled with the administration was, you continue to say Muslims are gang members, but yet you have known, and I mean known, MS-13 members going to the gym on the Spanish holiday. You haven't had any incidents whatsoever with the Muslims outside of back in 2013 or 2011 when they were praying, given permission by their unit officer to pray, and you call a single on them because the shift commander came in the unit. That was the only incident you ever had, and all they were doing is praying. They made it very clear that this was a Christian jail, always will be, and always will be run as such. And no other religion would, regardless of the Constitution or anything, didn't mean anything to them. Even when you brought it to their attention, their argument was security trumps the Constitution, which I found to be amazing that anyone even would say that out of their mouth, but even to believe it was just ludicrous. So the problem you had not only with the Chapman, but the administration bought into this idea that, to suppress the Muslim population would be in its best interest.
Brother Behera, Muslims convert or accept Islam in prison by the hundreds of thousands. That is the fastest growing faith in prison. In your experience, what changes, what positive or negative changes have you seen in the prison population once they do accept Islam?
One of the, if you will, most positive changes that I've seen is that I think people see the purity of the religion, the truthfulness in the religion, as well as the benefits of the practicing of the religion, right? And when I say practice, you see the difference in those who are making the salat, who are sitting down, having conversations about, who Allah is, who the Prophet does, conversations like this. You see the difference in their demeanor. One of the things that I noticed the first time I did a Jumu'ah over here at PG County, the way they had it set up for the past couple of months is I was going to each unit. I had to go to I get to go to 2 units a week, right? And then it's 17 units over there. So you can imagine how long you get to see, they might get Jumu'ah every 6 weeks or whatever it is, right? But from the first Jumu'ahs that was there, and the administration that was there with me, they found the Muslims crying, because what Jumu'ah does, and what it is for us every week to have that reminder, to have that camaraderie, to have that interaction, it's a very rewarding and beneficial thing, and they've been denied that for many, many years, many years. And the administration they'll tell you, the brothers, they was crying, literally, real tears. So this is something that I've noticed when people accept the religion, that as we know from the history, that it actually it affects the heart, it affects the soul, in a different kind of way, and you can see that come out through their different actions and how they embrace the religion.
That's right.
Would you like to add something, Brother Kenneth?
I remember I was in House Unit 14, and 14 at that time had the largest Muslim population. And the first time Imam Sabor came in, and 2 of the brothers had to get up and go to their cells because they didn't want That's why I was shaking my head when he said about crime, because they didn't want to see that. And the brother stopped and said, man, there's no shame in showing tears, because it's Allah, softening your heart. And it was, to see those brothers crowd in that little room, it was just amazing. It's almost like looking at someone that's starved for water, that hasn't had water, and here's a water fountain, and they just, run into it and just overwhelmed with joy, and how we would just sit there, and no one wanted to leave. The imam didn't want to leave. We didn't want to leave. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Thank you so much for sharing that beautiful note and these positive, a faith that brings such positive changes in a population that is prone to violence or is in jail because of some awful act that they have committed. This is the sort of transformation that we want in society for people who may have come and done things that were harmful to society, to turn around and become people who can be contributing members of society. And that comes from a deep faith and from being able to control your actions. And that is what our faith teaches us. We're going to be right back after this break, and we're going to discuss why should the Muslim population outside the jails be worried about the rights of Muslims inside jail, and what can they do to assist. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Right before the break, we were talking to Buhaira and Kenneth about the positive changes they have seen in the prison population once folks accept Islam, and the powerful transformation that has occurred in people's lives. Now, a lot of times when I'm discussing this in gatherings, people ask why, many of these people are criminals or they have harmed society. Why should we care about their rights when they've taken away other people's rights to life, right to property? What would you say to Muslims or other people of other faiths who are watching? Why is this important? Why is this struggle important? Why are the upholding of these rights important? Why is this such an important topic?
Well, really, it's a simple answer to that question. One day they're going to return. Returning to society with nothing means you're going to go back and do the same old thing. You need to give these people, and this is supposed to be country of second chances. To give a person a second chance, to give them hope, to give them another way of life, to change from the existence that they had. A lot of these young men, and myself included, when you return to society, you have had your reputation, as to say, and when they see you are not that person that went in, that you're a different person, curiosity now kicks in. Well, what changed him? How did he change? What made him change? Man, that's a 360-degree turnaround. Mm-hmm. So it's important because look at what we are dealing with now. Just last week, they've shown on the news that a 12-year-old kid is running around Southeast with guns that you would expect to see in wars in Iraq, carjacking people, 12 years old. So if we don't start making the changes now with those returning, what we might see, in the future in the streets. And we know it's bad now.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts here?
I think that what I always try to encourage and impress on the especially the inmate population is that we part of the Ummah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
I'm doing that.
We all are part of the Ummah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. You know, understanding it and what that really means, right? It's not our choice to decide who that is, right? Allah chose them to be Muslim. Allah chose that for them. Allah chose wherever that happened at, however it happened, wherever it was, Allah chose that for them. So if we are to be the Muslims that we profess and proclaim and practice to be, then we had to understand that these are Muslim brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
They just happen to be in this particular situation, and inshallah, a lot of them will be returned back to society. And when they come back to society, if we don't have something in place for them, then be honest, we failed them.
Mm-hmm.
We actually failed them because we don't have anything in place for our Muslim brothers and sisters. And that's another whole topic, you know. But when they return, what do we have in place, right? As far as housing, as far as job preparation, as far as jobs, as far as our family support. They have a lot of organizations, Christian organizations, right, that I know of that have things in place, right, to help returning citizens, right? That being said, some of them that return, you find them somewhat not in the masjid because we're not putting those things in place to accept them back into the community, you know. So I think that, I mean, one of the main things that we have to understand, man, that they are our brothers and sisters. Allah chose them to be Muslim. It wasn't none of our choice. Allah chose them to be Muslim, and they part of the Ummah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, no matter where they are.
And so many are unjustly put into prison. We know the justice system, how it works here, how young men, might have been picked up for selling marijuana, which is perfectly legal now, but they're still rotting in prison because they sold something 20 years ago, as well as people being wrongly accused or given huge sentences for minor crimes, which people of other races get away with. So this is an unjust system in its get-go. So for so many people who are in prison, they deserve our prayers, they deserve our activism. And because if your most marginalized people in society can't get rights, then how can you aim to be a country that purports to be the leader of human rights around the world?
That's right.
Right.
So true.
But thank you so much to both of you for your work and for these, and thank Allah for these small victories that have come your way. May they spread throughout the region and throughout the prison system. And yes, definitely we should get back and have another conversation about reentry and the various ways that we can assist and bailouts. There are many organizations trying to work on this.
Let's cut it real quick, Sister Henna, and let's go back. Brother Kenneth, can you be mindful of positioning to make sure that you're right in the middle for everybody else?
Okay.
Go back to your thank you and wrap up, and then you can go into all of that, okay? All right, we're going to do the wrap up again, and 3, 2.
Hold on, before you start, wrap up from, or do you want me to go back?
Same way you were just saying, thank you all for coming here and being here,
Okay.
and I'm going to take them off the screen. You can do your last bit.
Okay.
Okay? All right. 3, 2.
Thank you so much to both of you for the work that you do, and thank Allah for the little victories that have come your way through your activism and advocacy and your prayers. And let's hope we get more good news out of PG County. And we really need to work more in the Muslim community on reentry, and perhaps we can come back for another conversation on that.
Sure, that'd be great. Sure.
Thank you to you all for watching our show today. Thank you to my producer, Asim Amin, and our assistant producer, Marian Tisdale. This is wrapping up another program, another episode of Justice for All Now. Assalamu alaikum.